All right, so I needed to just post this video because once again there are some bandwidth issues. So I really apologize for that on the last attempt to live stream a few minutes ago. But I wanted to talk today about layering, which I've been doing a lot in my production. So what this really is bringing in multiple instruments towards the goal of fattening up and enriching my productions. And you can do this quite easily, especially when you're working with MIDI instruments. So I'm going to show you an example today where I've got basically a blend of a violin and a piano and a synth sound, and they're all bringing different qualities to the timbre. And where this really has a great effect, in addition to kind of lead voices like the example I'm about to share, is also with percussion. So this is kind of age-old technology when you're producing electronic music, especially EDM and things like that, is to layer kick samples or snare samples to get your drums just sounding totally bigger than life. And it's used in production music as well and in scoring to create those super heavy tribal sounds. You can also use them for transitions and stingers within your compositions, whether you're doing music or you're doing scoring, where the layers come together so intensely that it just fattens up your music. So let's take just a simple example. I've got this track loaded up here. And what I've got basically is a violin track. I've got a piano, and I've got kind of a synth sound. So let's just hear the violin here. All right. Sorry. I have to actually have that be enabled. So let me do this with my mouse. It'll be a little easier. So you can hear the violin. But then I also have exactly the same MIDI coming out through this piano. Right? And I'm using those in tandem because the piano has a nice sharper attack than the violin. And so it's nice to have an instrument with attack. But then I've also got this synth, which is quite quiet. Let me bring that volume up a little bit. And bring this up here. So hopefully now you can hear a bit more of that synth sound. Let me, I can also bring that up a little here. Don't want to blow your ears out. Okay, so these three qualities are bringing together the attack of a piano. And this is a helpful way to think about layering instruments. Don't just smack stuff together arbitrarily, but think about how they play out. The way I like to think about it is as an envelope. So what's the attack? What's the decay feature? What's the sustain feature? As well as considerations like what is the overall frequency response of my sound. So the attack here is really coming from the piano, which has a much sharper, quicker attack. But I could also use even sounds like a snare or a hi-hat to kind of give it attack and not mess with the timbre too much of the violin. Let me go ahead and unsolo all those. So what you get with these three sounds together is bigger than any of the three together. And I really like doing this in all styles. So this works really well with orchestral work where maybe you want to mix multiple sample libraries of violins together or multiple samples of trombones together, that sort of thing. And you can get an ensemble sound that's not just as common as your ensemble patch, but a little more interesting. But I also use it a lot in electronic music, like I'd said, with layering drums. And then I use it in pop music, layering different pianos, sometimes even using horns, because horns have an incredible amount of power. If you support, say, a piano or an organ, if I had a Hammond organ and I supported that with horns, like a French horn or something, you can add this timbral depth that's really exciting to listen to, even though the listener may really just be hearing organ. The organ sounds bigger than life. So what I've done here in Cubase basically is I'm using MIDI sends, and let me just take myself off the screen here, and I can, for anybody who's using Cubase, you can find this MIDI sends option here available on the inspector for MIDI tracks. Now you won't find it on instrument tracks, so you have to be on a MIDI track, but then you can send to any one of the racks that you have. If you're using Cubase, then you're familiar with the VSTi rack, and once these racks are enabled, they'll pop up here under the sends as different MIDI inputs that you can send MIDI out to. And then what I like to do is just set these up with a volume MIDI control, and I can actually blend these instruments on playback as I go. So I hope that gives you some new inspiration. If you're using Logic or Ableton or Pro Tools, whatever kind of DAW you're using, this is definitely possible in every major platform. You're basically just sending MIDI data out to multiple instruments at once, and I could like to record the part, and then I go in and I tweak the volume and mix as my part plays back, sometimes even automating that volume so that instrument layers come in and out really is a great way to create motion and evolution development in a timbre. If you have any questions, please post in the comments here. And I'm sorry about the bandwidth issues with the live stream breaking up earlier. Again, I'm trying to get a handle on it and get it solved, and I hope that we won't have those problems in the future. But thanks again for your support. Please like and subscribe. Helps me surface these videos, and I'll be back with you in a couple of days. Thanks again. Bye.